Would you like to be able to create a JSON file using HRD Ham Radio Deluxe to update your website? Well, stick around. Hey there, YouTube land. I'm AI5KP, and today we're diving into something a little geeky and hopefully a lot useful. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a JSON file using markup provided by Ham Radio Deluxe, also known as HRD for those of us who like saying syllables. We'll cover three main things: how to generate that JSON file using HRD's built-in tools, how to set up HRD automatically keep the file updated, and how do we read and use that file on a website. Whether you're building a dynamic logbook, showing off your latest QSO, or just making your HTML feel like it's part of the shack. Now, I'm going to assume you already have some basic understanding of Ham Radio Deluxe and websites with JSON data. If not, well, you're either really brave or really optimistic. Either way, welcome aboard and let's get started. Okay, let's first start by looking at Ham Radio Deluxe. This will give us the valuable information we need in order to create our JSON file. If you bring up Ham Radio Deluxe, first you need to know that you must be connected to your radio in order to even get to the functionality we're looking for. So if we start by looking up here under Tools, and we pull that down, we're going to see that we have a place called Web Page Updates. So we want to click on that. And then if you look down here, you'll notice that it gives us a little bit of information on what kind of information we have access to. So we have four things: the frequency, the mode, the radio, and the timestamp. Now, for me, I'm using a Yaesu FT710, but it's important to note, as of right now, they do not have the proper name conventions for the Yaesu 710, but you can use the Yaesu FT991A. Let's pause right there for just a second and let's see how we can use this data right here to build our JSON data file. So let's jump down. I'm going to pull this up. So the basic construction of a JSON file is simply this. First of all, your data object is incorporated between curly brackets, and then you have the name of your property and the value for your property. Now, it doesn't matter what the value is because this is going to be replaced by Ham Radio Deluxe. And so what we need to do is, if you look, we have a frequency that looks like frequency, and we're going to put that right inside there. So now our frequency says that it is inside quotations, 3 hashtags, and the word frequency. Now we're going to do the same thing for mode. We're going to take that, let's pull that over here, and we're going to do the same thing for radio. Pull that over here, and lastly our timestamp. So this is, please note there should not be a space in the timestamp. How your JSON file should look once you're done. And then we want to save this in a place that we have access to. So for now, I'm just going to save as and put this over. I'm just going to throw it on the desktop, and it's called jsonfeed.json. Now, make sure you know where that is and make sure it's in a place that makes sense. This is going to be your template that Ham Radio Deluxe uses moving forward. So now, back on our Ham Radio Deluxe, we want to enable web page updates, and it's going to be wanting a web page template. So we can browse to that, and I put that on my desktop. So I'm going to go find my jsonfeed.json. Now, I will say that it looks like the web page updates were built with the idea that you would be putting these template codes into an HTML file. We're just going to create a JSON file so that we don't have to store a template file of our website. Now, once you've got that in place, you can click on preview and it's going to show you what that looks like. And we'll open it up. We'll just open it up in Notepad. And there we go. So there's our Notepad, and as you can tell, it put in the frequency, the USB, everything just like we wanted. Let's zoom in on that. Perfect. So now that we have it successfully making a JSON file, how do we update it or upload it? So this is going to depend for you where you store your website. So you need to put in your website settings, your host name, what directory it goes to, and if you have a login, user ID, or password. We're not going to go into details with that. I'm going to assume that you know where your FTP site is sitting and you can do that on your own. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. Now, I do have a website that automatically pulls this information in. And so let's go and see how I am using that. All right. So this is my JSON feed as it pulls in. This one's a little out of date, but that's okay. You can see what I am referring to. Now, to read a JSON file, we're going to jump over and look at some JavaScript. So the very, very simple JavaScript, and let's get down to radio data. So to read a file, you just simply need to do a fetch on your JSON file, and I'm making sure, this is just making sure that it always thinks that it's an updated file, so it doesn't cache my JSON feed. So this says I'm going to read this JSON file, and if it reads it okay, then it will return what it reads as JSON. Otherwise, it will throw an error. Then it's just a matter of reading your JSON file. So I get the posted time, the timestamp from the JSON file. That's embedded in the JSON file, not the actual file's create date, but same thing, I get the frequency and I get the mode, and then I'm just simply updating the content for those items. Now for my website, hamradio.com.johncookjr, and right now you can see that it shows that I'm offline. I don't actually have my radio plugged into the computer that uploads my data, but it will show when I was last active, and mine shows offline because I added to my JavaScript that basically says if the number of minutes between right now and the time that it was posted is more than or equal to 5, that means it hasn't updated, so it just says offline. If it wasn't old, it would show the current frequency and mode. All right. So that's how you do it. So HRD, we'll go in again. We'll look at the web page updates, and we want to just make sure we pick our JSON formatted. Now this is not going to change if I open this up and show it to you again. This is a template. This never changes. HRD simply loads this, creates a new file that it uploads. All right. I probably missed something, and that's okay. If you have questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, like and subscribe for more tutorials in the future.